From the beginning of time, we've all had the same question. Are ghosts real? Hi, my name is Ali Rubina, and today we're going to find out if the paranormal world exists. And later on, I'll try to contact them myself to ask a very important question. But before that, we have to set some boundaries. For something to be scientifically proven on the most basic level, it has to be repeatable. So what does that mean? Imagine you wake up in the dead of night, parched, gobsmacked, reaching for that distant yet close water bottle, and you see. Now, to scientifically prove this, you would have to repeat this experiment at least a minimum of 3 times, with similar or same results and different conditions. Well, you may ask, what does that look like? Imagine you wake up in the dead of afternoon, parched, gobsmacked, reaching for that distant yet close water bottle. Imagine you wake up in the dead of afternoon, unparched, ungobsmacked, reaching for that close yet distant, well, you get it. Now you may ask the question, have there been any public or scientific research done to prove the existence of the paranormal world? Well, yes, there have been. In fact, there have been thousands of studies, but 2 cases stand apart. 2 cases that don't sound similar on the surface, yet are tied too close on a philosophical level. Case 1, Enfield haunting.
600 devices.
I know the joke.
How many really are there, Margaret?
I think so far we've had 10
Right.
sensible voices, but the rest of the names are absolute rubbish.
The Enfield haunting took place in North London from 1977 to 1979, where the Hodgkin family reported loud knocks, furniture moving, and objects flying by themselves. Investigators from the Society for Physical Research recorded hundreds of incidents, and some police officers and neighbors claimed they saw unexplained events. But Janet, the youngest daughter in the household, was also caught faking a few moments, leading skeptics to argue the case was exaggerated or partially staged. The Enfield haunting had a major issue. It had a lot of media attention, and that media attention meant it had entertainment value. And to take that entertainment value, it was monetized to the brim. Enfield haunting wasn't a tragedy, it was a cash cow. It was an event that was used in monetary benefits for multiple people and multiple families. Hundreds of interviews, hundreds of studies, and a lot of attention. In fact, the story itself had so much media attention that later on it was bought by Warner Brothers to make Conjuring 2. Before I add any further comments to this case, I would like to discuss Case 2. Case 2, Anneliese Michel.
How bist du überhaupt hier?
Ich hab recht dazu, dass ich in dem Wald rein bin. Ich trag dir die Rotznase noch so lang, bis es lebt wird. Die saublöde Weib. Für uns geht's kein Zurück. Nie! In alle Ewigkeit!
Anneliese Michel was a German woman whose seizures and psychiatric symptoms were believed by her family and local priests to be sign of demonic possession. Between 1975 and 1976, she underwent 67 Catholic exorcism sessions while her health rapidly declined. Despite medical treatment for epilepsy and depression, her condition worsened, and she refused further medical care, convinced the exorcisms were necessary. She died in 1976 at age 23 from malnutrition and dehydration, weighing only 30 kilograms at the time of her death. Her parents and the 2 priests were later tried and convicted for negligent homicide, with the court arguing that her suffering should have been treated medically rather than spiritually. You see, both cases had one core idea that was so similar that it almost conjoined them. They had to prove the existence of paranormal in front of a large, mostly skeptical audience, but they approached it very differently. The Enfield haunting took place in front of the media, and their way of proving the existence of the paranormal was to collect evidence. But the way they collected it was quite barbaric. Any anomaly captured in that case was later reviewed by scientists to see if it could be disproved or proved. Here's where I have a gripe. They believed that any anomaly that couldn't be explained by the group of scientists was a proof of paranormal. So the correlation between the two does not exist, but in this case was very strongly agreed upon. They assumed unexplained equals to evidence of ghosts. While this does not work on a deeper scientific level, it did create enough ambiguity around the case to have further research done on it for long years, and most of the research came to one answer, which was they were faking it. But you see, the Annalise Michel case took place in front of a court after the death of the subject, so no new evidence could be collected. Therefore, instead of trying to prove the existence of God, demon, or ghosts in the court of law, they tried to disprove the opposition's claims. Annalise had a frontal lobe seizure, and the opposition said that continuing her medication could have controlled them. The defendants argued that in many cases the body builds a resistance to epilepsy medication, and the same was the case with Annalise. But in the end, both cases lacked any solid evidence. That's why I'm conducting my own case. Is it going to be scientific? Hi, so I'm going to conduct one very simple test. This lamp turns on whenever I touch it, and that's because it completes an internal circuit whenever I touch it, like this. On the other hand, I have an infrared plus color depth sensor recording me. This will be able to find out any anomaly that happens in the dark or in the larger field of view, and it can also detect human anatomy, which is quite an interesting part of it since it's also a motion camera. The test is simple. I'm going to wait here and invite anything that's in the room to touch this lamp to prove its existence. After studying this topic in depth and going over multiple horizons, I have only one thing to say. Most activities deemed paranormal are actually quite explainable with reasonable deduction. Most so-called paranormal events aren't what they seem. And that's the problem. Because I did not say all. I said most.